Those of us on the margins stay silent in meetings, nothing changes. You don't get the experience of seeing what happens when your voice is finally part of the conversation. And the unspoken power structures, but very real feeling of those power structures at your organization gets stronger and stronger. Hola, my name is Petra Vega. I am an anti-oppressive leadership coach who helps marginalized nonprofit leaders speak up in the moment in crucial moments in meetings, even when self-doubt when getting in the way. Today, I want to talk to you about why your voice is a non-negotiable, particularly when conflict arises in these meetings, and strategies that you can use to get past those doubts, those internalized myths that keep marginalized managers and directors like you quiet when conflict shows up in meetings. If you're someone who wants to get started while you're watching this video, I want to invite you to grab the Nonprofit Disruptor Survivor Toolkit. You grab that at the description below. Here, I give you 5 tips to speak up in meetings without all the second guessing, all the back and forth, so you can finally get your liberatory ideas heard and implemented. So, the first kind of thing that I hear when I'm working with folks around speaking up during conflict in meetings, one thing that people often tell me is that, saying something isn't going to change anything. And another variation of that is that nobody's going to do something about it. So again, it feels like, oh, it's meaningless. It's pointless to speak up in that moment. And I want to name that as the first, I'll say like perspective problem about the way that you're thinking about your speaking up efforts. You may be thinking about it in the ways that, like, okay, if external change may never come, I want to invite you to think about that perhaps nothing in the external world will change, but you will be changed as a result of speaking up. I want us to remember Audre Lorde's words that reminded us that it's better to speak anyways. There's a quote that she has that says, "And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive." I want to, as you think about whether this might be, a problem perspective that you have, I want to invite you to consider that speaking up is really an act of rebellion against the power structures, right? It's an act of reclamation for the person you truly are inside. I'm someone who grew up believing that I should not be seen and heard, and so every time I speak up, I am chipping away at that belief. A lot of the clients that I work with also have that belief, or come from multiple marginalized identities and experiences where they were led to believe that their voices didn't matter. And so every time that we speak up, we're chipping away at that lie that was told about us. And this quote is really giving, like, they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds, right? So again, what are the ways we could take back our power? And I think, speaking up is a nutrient. It's water, right? What ways can we water ourselves? And so the invitation here is really for you to consider, when you have that thought in your mind that, okay, speaking up, that external change may never come, and so there's no reason for me to speak up. The invitation here, affirmation, is I speak up to change my own mind about what's possible and what's true for me. So that's my first one. The second problem perspective that I hear when I'm working with folks around this is that change takes longer. One of the things, people are afraid to speak up because they can't see the change happening. And so the first problem is like, okay, nothing's going to happen. I had some thoughts about that. The second piece is about how you might not be around to see the change, And so I want to offer that, change may take longer than you expect. It may take longer than you may have the patience for, right? And that's a different thing. We can work on the patience and building our tolerance for waiting for that change to come. And so I want to offer a little bit of examples from my own leadership experience around why I want you to consider this perspective. At one organization, it took me less than a year to get my team to understand that not paying our interns was fucked up. I worked in a lot of organizations that primarily run on internship or on unpaid or severely underpaid intern labor. And so that was my experience at one organization. It took me a year talking to get people to understand that was a fucked up practice. And more recently, it's taking me almost 3 years at a different organization to finally dedicate funding to compensating those interns. Sometimes shit just takes time. I think if you're someone who experiences time blindness or has chronic illness, you have experience with forecasting how much time something is going to take. And I want to offer that, like, sometimes shit just takes more time, right? And I want to juxtapose those examples from my leadership experience with this other experience that I had, where at another organization, it took me about a year complaining about how we didn't have a lot of structure. And then we were able to come up with some standard operating procedures where now we have clearly laid out operations, structures, directions, tools in order for us to do work in a way that was more efficient. And that took about a year, right? And so again, you can hope that like maybe you speak up during conflict in these meetings, there's a perspective that you're trying to push through, and you hope that like people will magically shift. And it might not be that way, and it's not. And I want to offer that if that's the only way you'll feel satisfied in your speaking efforts, you're setting yourself up for failure a little bit, and you're cutting yourself short from the possibility around really enjoying and having the fullest access of your ability to speak up. And so my invitation here, if you're someone who may not have the patience to wait for change, the invitation affirmation in this one is that I speak up when it's the right time for me, and I trust in that timing. So, it might not be, you might watch this video and hope that you'll be able to say the thing that's on your heart to say, and maybe you will. And it might not. You might need more support. And so I just want to, offer that invitation that it just might take more time, right? And to invite you to trust in the timing. So yeah, please comment below and let me know, which do you find yourself stuck in? The first one that I named around believing that external change may never come, or the second one that change is going to take much longer. Maybe you don't have the patience for it. The third problem that I see in the work that I do with marginalized nonprofit managers and directors is this third one around the change we seek to have may have a different impact than intended. Again, I think that particularly when we're first starting to speak up, we have very specific rules about what we want to happen, what we think will happen. And if that doesn't happen, I think we feel really unsatisfied. We feel like we failed. And so I want to broaden as many possibilities as we can for us to be successful. And so I wanted to share, there's a post that I have saved. I have this whole folder around like wisdom and insights. There's a folder. And this is a post that I had saved that someone made with the profile name. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, so I'll spell it. Sepulchritud. And then if you comment below, I'm happy to share this with you. But what they put in this post is that one thing I don't think people realize is that in arguments about human rights, it's not about trying to persuade the other party. It's not about them at all. They've already made up their mind. It's about persuading the audience. If I call out my teacher on being homophobic, I'm not trying to change his position. I'm trying to convince any closeted kids in the room that they're not the monsters he's made them out to be. If I argue with my aunt about how racist she's being, it's not because I expect her to change her mind. It's because I'm hoping to God my cousin's here and learn that maybe skin color doesn't mean what she says it means. People try to hush you and say they're not going to change your mind, so don't bother. But it's not about them. It's never about them, And if you follow my content online, you'll see that that is a really big thread that I share around speaking up in difficult moments, in conflict, when the world is in turmoil, is not about making people who disagree with you change your minds. It's not about convincing them. It's not about controlling them. We speak up because we're trying to let people who align with us know that we are out there, right? It's about leaving the impact in history, even if it's just a digital footprint that says, these are the things that we believed in. Here are the things that we thought were important. And in that way, it's about inviting allies, right? Who are the people that align with us? And if we never allow ourselves, our voices, our perspectives to be in the room, we're always going to feel siloed and alone in our efforts. And so if you're someone that's like, that there's a change that you want, and if it's not perfectly, it doesn't happen in the way that you desire, then my invitation, my affirmation for you is that I speak up as a lighthouse so that others like me may find me, And so the final point that I want to leave you with is that, again, speaking up is not about them. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your voice despite everyone and their mama trying to shut you up. It's about exercising your agency and choosing to be heard instead of self-silencing. It's about having your own back regardless of who's in the room. And so, my invitation again to you is that next time the conflict shows up in your meeting, keep these things in mind. Encourage yourself to say something. And again, if this is something you want more support in, please check out the Nonprofit Disruptor Survival Toolkit in the description below, where I give you, where I share whole bunch of support around 5 ways that you can speak up in meetings without all the second guessing.